Kadosh, 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 Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של Shabbat. May there be light, love, friendship, so much more for this Shabbos. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all. Not to mention sisterhood.
We're going to continue on page 128 with Yedid Nefesh. You'll see that in the middle of the page.
This is a little outtake from a much longer poem that is quite mystical and kind of trippy, a little psychedelic, and but it's all about love and its many, many forms and the wild things it gets us to do. And on Shabbat, we are asking to be drawn up into the Beloved's arms, to serve that love with our whole selves on Shabbat. That's kind of what we're singing about here. So imagine yourself. Maybe it's a mother, maybe it's a lover, maybe it's a friend who's reaching out from beyond to hold you tonight. Yedid nefesh v'rachaman, Yedid nefesh v'rachaman, meshoch avdecha, el retzonecha, meshoch avdecha, ay, 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 el retzonecha, yarutz avdecha, kemo ayal, yishtachave, ay, 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 el mul hadrecha. Yedid nefesh v'rachaman, Yedid nefesh v'rachaman, meshoch avdecha, el retzonecha, meshoch avdecha, ay, 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 el retzonecha. And from that place of being held, we move to the place of seeing where we are going, as if our path was illuminated by sparks and lights of righteousness, of knowing this is the right move at this time. We'll continue on page 132, singing Or Zarua.
This melody may be new for some or many of you. And don't worry, because it repeats a lot. And as we should have said at the top, if the words are comfortable in your mouth, please feel free to use them. If they do not sit comfortably in your mouth, just tap into the tradition of holy mumbling that has been part of our people since time immemorial. So, lie, 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 bumbity bum bum, depending on where you come from, it is all fantastic. Really, the point of all of this opening part of the service on Friday night, Kabbalat Shabbat, the receiving of Shabbat, It's opening ourselves up to be ready to receive Shabbat.
And I also want to extend out, now that we know that tech is working, Kabbalat Zoom. So those of you who are on Zoom, welcome. I apologize for not welcoming you sooner, but we weren't sure you were there. Now we know you are, and we're so happy that you're here with us.
Or Zarua. Or Zarua.
Bottom of 132.
Latzadik. Or Yishrei. Or Yishrei Lev. Simcha. Or Zarua. Latzadik. Or Yishrei. Or Yishrei Lev. Simcha. Let's do that one
Holy
more time.
Mumble. Okay. Oh, Zarua. Latzadik. Oh, Yishrei. Oh, Yishrei Lev. Simcha. Now holy mumbling. Ay, 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 ay. 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 Oh, Zarua. Latzadik. Oh, Yishrei. Oh, Yishrei Lev. Simcha. Oh, Zarua. Zarua. Latzadik. Oh, Yishrei. Oh, Yishrei Lev. Simcha. Whoop. Hey. Ay, 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 ay. 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 A poem by Rabbi Adam Lavitt. It's called Ma'ariv. This is balance. The world is entirely consumed by darkness, then brimming with light. The seasons approach one after the other, bring unbearable heat, bitter cold, and everything in between. Joy fades, loss makes space for growth and new life. Balance is not a perfect blend of extremes. It is something that takes place inside a larger system. It's a perspective, an awareness that makes space for us to fully experience winter and then spring, light and then darkness, darkness and then light. Life of all worlds, thank you for giving us the strength to allow our world, our heart, to be big enough for it all. Everything that we're doing right now, the rabbis completely made up. There's absolutely nothing in the Torah that tells us to do this. This isn't from God. This is from people. This recognition that stepping into this great God-given commandment to rest, it takes a little massaging. And they understood that we needed to move our hearts in all these different ways. And they understood that love was probably the thing that motivated people the most. And so they imagined Shabbat coming like the beloved. And I leave that to you to figure out what that looks like, what that feels like, what that might be for you. Is it a mountaintop or a person? Is it a piece of music or a sensation in your body that you would identify distinctively as being love? That's what we're going to welcome in right now. We're going to say, beloved, come on. Now this uses the language of bride and beloved in that kind of juicy, fleshy way. But again, they just wanted you to say yes. They just wanted you to say yes to this incredible, loving offer to take a day off, to let go for a minute. So we're on pages 138 and 139. We will do, as is the custom here, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. But because we're dealing with multidisciplinary love, that was also understood that you should sing each verse with a different melody. Don't worry. I know.
We're keeping it to 3.
But see, this is the thing, something for everybody. And we're going to reduce it to 3. Okay, how's that? So the first one, which you might not know, it comes from the Breslov community. You might know it. They know it? They know it. You know it. This first one comes from the Breslov community, the Hasidic community, and that represents kind of Eastern Europe. The second one comes from the Moroccan tradition, and the third one comes from Eretz Israel, the modern Eretz Israel. So we are covering 3 major bandwidths of Jewish creativity and Jewish musical creativity here. So you got something a little different each one. Roll with it. So verse 1, we'll do with the Breslov melody. No. Oh, no. We're just going to do the chorus, the first chorus with the Breslov melody. That's better, right? Okay, then we're going to do verses 1, 2, and 5 with the melody you already know, the Moroccan melody. And if you didn't know it was a Moroccan melody, relax, you know it. And we're going to end verse 9 with a very popular Israeli melody. You've got this. I promise you've got this. All right, here we go. Something new. Dodi Mikrat Kala Pene Shabbat Nekabela Yalalai 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 Shabbat nekavela, echadoti likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekavela, shamov zachor lilibo אחד, לשם תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך אורי אורי. ובנרי שיר חברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך הילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
Continue with the Hatzi Kaddish on page 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל. שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו Amen.
We use these words of praise to separate that receiving place to stepping into the worship place, the place where we are not so much kind of massaging ourselves, but more actively engaging in prayer. We begin that call to prayer with the Baruch Hu, which you can find in your prayer book on page 146. It's a little back and forth between the lover and the beloved, or the beloved and the lover, depending upon which way you see it.
Baruch Hu,
Baruch Hu,
dear one, Shekhinah, holy name, when I call on the light of my soul, when I call on the light of my soul, when I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMelorah.
Baruch Adonai Haborach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMelorah Leolam Vaed.
Let evening come. Let the light of late afternoon shine through chinks in the barn, moving up the bales as the sun moves down. Let the cricket take up chafing as a woman takes up her needles and her yarn. Let evening come. Let dew collect on the hoe abandoned in the long grass. Let the stars appear and the moon disclose her silver horn. Let the fox go back to its sandy den. Let the wind die down. Let the shed go black inside. Let evening come. To the bottle in the ditch, to the scoop in the oats, to air in the lung, let evening come. Let it come as it will, and don't be afraid. God does not leave us comfortless, so let evening come.
Thank you. We continue on page 150. This blessing before we say the Shema is again grounded in love. Ahavat olam, an everlasting, eternal love. And we reflect on the gift of Torah, we reflect on the wisdom tradition and the lineage that we've been given as a gift of love from the divine. So however you feel loving toward this wisdom tradition, maybe there's a food that your bubby made for you. Maybe you have memories of lighting Shabbat candles or Hanukkah candles. Maybe you've studied texts. Maybe this is your first time and this is your first experience of Judaism. Whatever loving connection, that's what we want to hold as we prepare to enter into the Shema. The Ahavat Olam is on page 150. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadetam. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגן יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen.
Page 152. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We find ourselves again and again and again going from great moments of freedom or triumph to serious challenge. And every once in a while we hit one of those challenges that we just don't think we can surmount it. We think it's impossible, we'll never make it. And then somehow we do. Somehow we do. We have to step into it. There's no avoiding it. And this piece of our liturgy comes directly out of the Torah, and it is exactly that moment. It's that moment when you've come through the sea that seemed impenetrable, impossible. And you stand and you turn around and you're like, what? Unbelievable. I made it. And it's a state of complete discombobulation, because you have to either believe it or continue to think that you're stuck. And so we come to this again and again. I mean, the rabbis teach us we should say this at least twice a day. so that someday we'll look and we'll go like, got it. Bring it on. Ready for the next. I got this. So that's the practice. Mi chamocha. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Amongst all the powers that there are, what is like this power that got me through? Was it in here? Was it out there? I don't even know. But it's there. That much I know. Mi chamocha. It's a call and response.
We're on page 158. Mi chamocha,
Mi chamocha,
Va'elim Adonai,
Va'elim Adonai,
Mi kamocha,
Mi kamocha,
Nedar b'kodesh,
Nedar b'kodesh,
Nora,
Nora,
Nora tehilot,
Nora tehilot,
Oh, say,
oh, say, Baruch, Atah Adonai, God, Israel.
So in the evening, we connect our breath and our sleep and our waking with holiness. And we go to sleep with an awareness of how precious our life is. And we hope that we'll awaken the next day. And this Hashkivenu, which you'll find on page 160, this is a setting of the Hashkivenu from the Jewish community of Livorno, Italy. And many years ago, maybe 20 or more, Jenny and I were lucky enough to learn this melody from Chazan Ramon Tassat, who is a pioneer of Jewish music, an advocate for sharing the world of Jewish music. And I always think of Jenny when I sing this. Hashkivenu, Avinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu, malkeinu, l'chaim Yerushalayim. Amen. Isn't that just the lullaby, Hashki Benu? I know. Yeah.
We're going to lead you into your own prayer time with this piece by Shai Ben Sul. It says, Hine Ani, here I am, as a way of preparing ourselves for entering into prayer. As Yisrael, as the God-wrestling people, which is what that name originally referred to, we know that prayer isn't always easy. Sometimes we really have to wrestle with this thing called faith, this thing called God, this thing called life. And I think that this piece captures that, what it takes to step into that prayer.
After we sing, you're welcome to rise in body or spirit. The Amidah begins on page 164. We'll spend some time in silent contemplation and prayer. And we're taught that all prayers are holy and amazing, but no prayer, and especially the Amidah, is complete until you've had a chance to really listen in to your own heart, to find the prayer that you're holding and that you're bringing tonight. So listen into the silence and make sure you bring your own prayers too. And we'll come back after the Amidah with a healing blessing. Hine ani,
Here I am.
kuli shelcha,
I'm all yours.
asei bi kirtzoncha,
Do with me as you wish.
batire.
I am empty.
אני נכנע,
I surrender.
ליבי נתון לחסדך,
I give my heart to your kindness.
גם אם הכל
Even if everything
יישלל ממני,
is taken from me,
בתוכי
inside,
קולך אשמע,
I will hear your voice.
מן הכאב
And from the pain,
הוא ירימני,
it will lift me.
וימלא בי באהבה.
Fill me with love.
מן
going to take some of that energy and send it out to those who are in need of healing, those who are suffering in body or in spirit, in mind or in heart. For folks on the Zoom, we invite you to put the names of those people that you want to be included in this Mishaberach, in this prayer for healing, in the chat so that they can be amongst us. We're thinking of Jet Zeiler, Phil Lewis, Herb Scher, Kay Rosenthal, Gabrielle Yarden, Ben-Yona Elva Yael, and anybody else whose name you would like to add while we offer this offering of love and light to those who you're holding in your hearts. Please feel free.
We're sending you light to heal you and hold you. We're sending you light to hold you in love. We're sending you light to heal you and hold you. We're sending you light to hold you in love. Elna refanala. Elna refanala. Elna refanala. May we and they soon know a time of full and complete healing. Let's say amen to that.
Amen.
A prayer for the state of Israel. Is Rindy here tonight? No. Thank you, Rindy. Guardian of Israel, guard the remnants of your people, Israel. Hold the shattered hearts of families who have lost loved ones. Hear the cries of those who lost their homes, their communities, their friends, their sense of safety. Help them rebuild their lives and have the courage to keep living. Give us all stability as we adjust to this new reality, one we so desperately wish we could change. Guardian of Israel, guard the remnants of your people, Israel. Help those still held hostage in Gaza find their inner strength and resilience. Keep them safe. Soothe the ragged voices of those working tirelessly to free them. Give us strength to continue until all of them are home. Guardian of Israel, guard the remnants of your people, Israel. Protect the lives of all who call her home. Hold fast her borders. Shelter her and her people from the violence of those who wish them harm. Let us stand tall and united in the face of danger and hatred. Guardian of Israel, guard the remnants of your people, Israel. Fill her leaders and soldiers with wisdom. Give them the audacity to imagine a future where Israel and her neighbors live side by side in lasting, quiet peace. Help us find the paths that lead there and the bravery to believe it possible. Guardian of Israel, guard the remnants of all of your people, Israel. Soften the hard, angry edges of our hearts. Ease our burdens. Let us sigh with relief. Open our minds and our ears so that we can hear many perspectives. Keep us open to empathy, forgiveness, and trust. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. And let us say Amen. Mona, I would love to invite you to please come forward and to make a presentation on behalf of the sisterhood.
You want it up here?
Yeah. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Mona Epstein, and I'm president of Sisterhood for Congregation B'nai Tikva. It's my pleasure tonight to do the award for our Woman of the Year, our Woman of Valor. Many of you know our long-term member, Julia Babka Kuzra. Sisterhood would like to honor her as a woman of valor for her tireless work for our congregation and the larger community. Julia has been a CBT member since 2016 and has been very involved on many levels. She has served on the board and on several committees, including membership, religious school, security, and Israel committee chair. She was the synagogue representative to the Contra Costa JCC under 110. She taught Hebrew religious school from 2007 to 2018, was a B'nai Mitzvah tutor, and started an Israel student exchange program, and worked as its program director from 2018 to 2024. She currently teaches 12th grade core class for Midrashah and our program called Better Together. Julia co-leads the wonderful program called Better Together. This is a program that brings together teens from Midrashah and seniors from our community, together for intergenerational learning. I have included a statement from Deborah Ahrens, who leads the Midrashah program. This is from Deborah. Julia, you show up for the people in your life with a depth and passion that is not often seen. You know when people are sick and show up with food, flowers, and cards. You remember birthdays and shower your friends and family with love. You are an advocate for Israel, for Judaism, for your community, and for your kids. Your creativity and passion for teaching about Judaism comes through in all your lessons, and you do so with humor, humility, and love. I am so grateful for the time, attention, and care you give to the teens and seniors in our Better Together, and for having a partner like you. Big hugs from Deborah and the Contra Costa Midrashah Board of Directors. Julia also has done many Holocaust and Israel seminars, courses, and conferences. And just to name a few, Educators Course at Yad Vashem, Jewish National Fund Educators Mission, Jewish Education Project, Delegations of Responsibility, Israel Trip for Educators to Bear Witness for October 7th. Stand With Us National Conference, Jewish Learning Works trainings, and JFCS Holocaust Center Confronting Anti-Semitism courses. Julia's married, lives in the community with 3 children, and is a legal guardian to Natalie Ben. She has dogs and chickens and loves to garden, exercise, hike, and mountain bike in her spare time. Julia, on behalf of CBT Sisterhood, I'd like to honor you as our Woman of Valor.
Congratulations. Isn't that beautiful?
That is gorgeous.
And this, of course, is for you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Mama. Do I have to say anything?
Just say thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be part of this community and have the connections. You know who you are. And everything that you all do to make us all be a great community. I love you. I love being part of this community. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Wow. Takes a village, but sometimes it takes a village manager too. So I want to dedicate my teaching tonight to my beloved friend and colleague, fellow Jewish mischief maker, irascible genius, the one and only Rachel Brody of blessed memory, whose birthday it would have been today. If I get struck by lightning halfway through, you know why. Anybody who knows Rachel knows exactly what I'm talking about. So this week's Torah portion begins, if you have to kind of know what happened last week to really appreciate what's happening this week. So I'm going to just do a little recap for those who aren't keeping up with alacrity. The last week included many things, including the scandalous golden calf episode, in which the Israelites and the other downtrodden, formerly enslaved people in Egypt find themselves out in the middle of the desert with this new greenhorn leader who says, and they're all like, what are we doing now? We got out, but now what? What? And he's like, okay, chill. I'm going to go up to the top of the mountain, and God's going to tell me what to do. Okay, so just chill here, and I'll be back. And so Moses goes up to the top of the mountain, and while he's up there, the people down below can see that it has turned into a volcano. And there's fire spewing out of the top, and smoke, and clouds coming down, and it doesn't look great for this guy. But they give it 40 days, and they get impatient, and at a certain point, they're like, yeah, that guy's never coming back. We got, dragged out here, and we are going to get schmeiced if we don't take care of ourselves. We need something. We need a god. Let's make one. So they create a golden calf that they can worship, which is very familiar to them from practices that they were familiar with back in Egypt, and they're into it. And actually, Moses is fine up there because when you hang with God, all kinds of wild paranormal things can happen. It doesn't hurt you at all. And he finally, God goes, wait a minute, what's happening down there? And they both look and they're like, ay, gavalt. So Moses gets really upset. God and Moses get really upset, and they both have to kind of talk each other off the wall. And Moses comes down, and he's furious, and there's a lot of death and destruction. And he's like, all right, that's it. Now I'm going back up to do this again. This time, don't mess up. So he goes back up on the mountain, and while he's up on the mountain, we get the inside scoop of what's being comported to him. And he's got the 2 new tablets, and he comes down with them, and the people are like, okay, we didn't do it this time. And he starts to give the instructions that he was just given up on the mountain. That's where this week's Torah portion starts. The very first moment of him gathering all the people and giving them the first 2 big downloads. Everybody with me? See the back, you write the backstory, it's important. There's a lot riding on this whole situation. People are gathered together, and the first thing he says, very laconically, which means terse, which I didn't know until I had to take a test and got it wrong. And I'll never forget it now. He says, you're going to be given a Shabbos. For 6 days you work, and the seventh day is Shabbos, and you don't do any work. For example, do not build a fire, and the penalty for breaking that is death. Full stop. That's it. Thou shalt labor for 6 days, thou shalt rest on the seventh day and make it holy. Thou shalt not kindle any flame. Those who don't doest it will be schmeist. Then, the entire rest of the Torah portion is dedicated to the building of the tabernacle. Another great word. Tabernacle sounds like a skin disease, doesn't it? Oi, I can't sit down. I got a tabernacle back there. That's not what it means. It comes from the Greek, taverna, a tavern, a place where people gather to eat, to drink, and to negotiate, to talk. So this is this place, the Mishkan, the place of indwelling presence, the place where people will come together to eat, to drink, and to make sacred agreements with one another. So they have to build this special place where all of that can take place, and it's going to be fabulous. It is going to be big enough for the thousands that are out there. It's going to be festooned in gold and hand-embroidered tapestries that are 30 feet tall. And remember, they left Egypt in a hurry. Remember about that? Like we have to eat that horrible bread for a week, right? Right? But somehow they managed to have enough that when the call goes out for precious metals, precious stones, fine oil, very specifically dyed yarns and threads with very, very precise dyes that are made from very specific ingredients, and dolphin skins, what? Right? They have it all. And the call goes out, anyone who is motivated, or whose heart is wise enough or elevated enough to come forward with these material goods that we need, and or the artisanal skills to put it all together, should come forward. And they go into all this detail about beating the gold and making the menorah, and then sewing and spinning the yarn, and weaving and embroidering the tapestries, and sawing. Right? They've got milled wood. They've got milled acacia wood out there. How is that even earthly possible? Oh, honey, come on, we got to go. Great, don't forget the lumber. Right? Okay. So they've got all this stuff, they amass it, and the Torah portion goes into all of this detail about this place that they're gonna build. So what pops for me is the schism, this break between the very beginning of the Torah portion that says, set aside this special sacred time, and the penalty for not doing so is death, versus the page upon page of detail about how to create this edifice, this structure, this thing, this materially grand and precious portable building. And they do it. They do it. They build this thing. They put it all together. They put it together in such a way that it is not only spectacular, but it is portable. Like, I thought Burning Man was a lot, but this is like way past Burning Man. They build it because it's practice. And it's inculcation. They are inoculating themselves for worshiping space, things, the material. Because when they finally get to their destination and they don't have to schlep that thing every day or from place to place, they build a permanent version, or so they think. and they spend hundreds of years building it, worshiping in it, and then it is destroyed in 586 before Common Era by the Babylonians, utterly destroyed. And 50 years go by, and they finally get it together, and things happen so that they can rebuild it. They do it again. And that one stands for another 500-ish years, and then it's destroyed in 70 Common Era by the Romans. And maybe it starts to occur to some kind of fringy, radical weirdos that the place, the thing, is not where God is residing. Because if God was really in that, if that was really God's home, how could an army destroy it? That's impossible. And these radical, weirdo, fringy, sideways people we now call rabbis. And they were more tuned into that first terse, laconic little bit of our Torah portion this week. They were more tuned into the fact that it's not in the thing. It's in the time we have and what we do with it and how we make our time holy that keeps us from spiritual death, that keeps us alive and engaged and connected to the divine, to creativity, to energy, to mystery, to that which we cannot, will not ever, and probably should not know, but that we trust and that we feel. We know. Not know. Know. And so they take that notion and run with it. And they spend a good amount of rabbinic time over the 1,000-ish years that they were redesigning Judaism to exist beyond the temple. And what they craft, among many other things, is a calendar. They draw from moments that are significant in the Torah, like the weekly recognition of taking a day to be in a state of holiness. But they also look at a few things that are told to the people that are significant moments in the year, significant practices that God tells the Israelites, those who wrestle with it, to make sure that you do this. And then they make up some of their own, and they stick their own rabbinic holidays in there. And right now, we are sitting almost smack in the middle of a rabbinic holiday that ends the year and a Torah-based holiday that begins the year. Okay, shock of shocks. The first month of the Hebrew calendar is coming up. We are currently in the last month of the Hebrew calendar. That might come as a surprise since Rosh Hashanah is in the 7th month. It's Jewish, don't ask. But the first month is Nisan, and the first holiday is Pesach, and the first holiday commemorates the exodus out of Egypt that led us into this desert that we're looking at the behavior of right here. In the Passover holiday, the Israelites start out enslaved in no man's land. They don't belong in the place that they are. They're utter foreigners. They have no rights. There's been an attempt at genocide against them. And they have a leader who has a very complex backstory, who is multicultural to use the language of today, and multi-class. They don't believe that freedom is possible. But this bizarre changeling man, Moses, says, I think it is. All you got to do is say yes. All you got to do is be you, do a couple of things, have a feast, and say yes. And when it's time to go, you need to pack your bags and go. That's it. You don't need an army. You don't need to kill anybody. You don't need to raise a finger. You don't need to hurt anyone. You just need to go. You just need to move when it's time to move. And they do, or at least as legend tells us, they do. But as Midrash tells us, as the rabbis tell us, yeah, not everybody did. And not only Israelites left. Israelites and a bunch of people were like, I'm going with them. Left. They themselves do not take matters into their own hands other than saying, when the door opens, I will step through it. God does all the schmeicing. God does all of the negotiations. God does all of that. They just keep going. And they're free. At the end of the story, they go from being enslaved to free. This is how the cycle, the annual cycle begins. And where does it end? Purim. It was last week. The annual cycle ends with Purim. That is a story that has no mention of God in it. There's no God in it. God doesn't make an appearance at all. And in that story, the Israelites, or the Jews, are not, they're not fish or fowl. They're just, they're just they're in Babylonia, they're in Shushan. It's just, until this guy gets a bee in his bonnet and decides that they are the worst people on the planet. He's going to pin all of these horrible things on them, that they're treacherous and they shouldn't be trusted, and that they don't respect authority, and they don't fit. They're not part of us. They're bad. We should kill them all. And an edict goes out that they should all be killed. And the story goes through a bunch of wild twists and turns. The edict is overturned through the effort of a courageous woman. And then they pick up arms. They slaughter tens of thousands of people, according to the end of the story. They embody the very brutality that 5 minutes ago they were on the business end of. They become the executioners, not the executed. And that's where the year ends. And right now, we're in this period of time where we're between that material world, that godless world of violence and retribution, and this world where spirituality enters into an impossibly horrible situation. And through courage and faith and willingness to step through a door when it opens, there is freedom. The rabbis knew that every day was Purim and every day was Passover. Every day was Yom Kippur, every day was Rosh Hashanah. Every day was Sukkot, every day was Shavuot. On any given day, you might give in to your basest nature and do something possibly irreparably damaging to someone else. Entirely possible. You might receive wisdom, Torah, if you will. You might be celebrating abundance with a generous and open heart. You might be reflecting on your strengths, your weaknesses. You might be celebrating something brand new that you are excited about moving into. Every single day is every one of these holidays, except Shabbat. Shabbat is Shabbat. Shabbat leaves all of that behind. Shabbat comes once a week because you gotta practice it. Because it's so hard to do. It's so hard to leave all that drama. It's so hard to leave the world of things. It's so hard to say yes to just the pure fact that you exist now, here as you are. And that you are in this world now, here as it is. We practice it, why? Because someday we believe that all that schmutz is going to go away. We practice it because we believe someday we will make that peace that the poem was talking about, prayer was talking about. That someday we won't have to solve things with violence, that someday that impulse will be quelled enough to at least be manageable. But if you don't practice it now, you know what you'll do when that opportunity arises? You'll scuttle it, because it's not going to be familiar. So we have to, friends. We have to. Maybe for 5 minutes, maybe for an hour, maybe from services to when you go to sleep. Maybe, Gewalt, if we could do it for services, sleeping, wake up through your coffee. The rabbis know, making it 24 hours, you're a tzaddik. That's why the rabbis teach us, on the day that everyone who is committed to this spirit path does it, Moshiach will come. Salvation will come. All that peace, all that good stuff, it'll be here. So, don't think it's Moses. It ain't Moses. Don't think it's Esther. It's not Esther. Don't think it's any of us. It's just you. You start it. You take that moment. You find that open space. You see if you can just open your heart, open your hands, open your date book, erase everything that's in it, and just put yes. Step through that door, my friends. Shabbat shalom.
Few final pieces for our service. We're going to continue on page 586 with the Aleinu. Please rise in body or spirit as we open the ark. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, matei tefillah yotzer Bereshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol ha'amot.
Our thoughts turn to those who have died, those whose lives have touched us in some way, who have maybe been a teacher or a friend or a part of our family, maybe a sacred adversary, maybe someone you admired and who is no longer with us. Tonight we remember Amanda Abarbanel Rice, Susan Alberts, Scott Arganek, Rivka Ben-Ziv, James Cohen, David Doran, Gloria Falk, Leon Glickman, Phyllis Hirsch, Michael Iacoboni, Mel Lerner, Ruth Shotland, Marlene Seifer, Shirley Shapiro Siegel, Michelle Smilo, Herb Weiss, and Louis Weiss. If there's a name you wish to add or put into the chat on Zoom, we welcome you bringing that memory into the room. We'll just sort of go here and go around. Hellfeiger. If you are in a period of mourning or remembering a yard site, we invite you to rise at this time. May you be comforted here amongst all who mourn throughout the world. And if it is your custom to rise with the mourners, we invite you to engage that practice now. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 598.
Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei Rabbah.
B'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Ul Almei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal Shmei Dekudesha B'richu La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama Rabbah min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the one who has created wholeness all around us be patient with us while we try to find wholeness in ourselves, in our families, in our communities, and in this whole great big old world. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. We would love to invite Jennifer to please come up and share some announcements.
Hi, Shabbat Shalom. I'm Jennifer Klatsky, and I'm a fairly new board member, so first time doing announcements. And first of all, thank you so much, Julie and Joe and Lisa, for the lovely service and guiding us into Shabbat. And I love aspiring to make it through my morning coffee. I'm going to try for that. Join us for this month's Wise Aging Series discussion on Monday, March 24th at 1 p.m. on Zoom. The topic will be Nurse Coaching, Unlocking the Potential for Healthier Communities. On Saturday, March 29th at 7 p.m., we will be viewing the movie The Other, a documentary exploring the complex relationship of Israelis and Palestinians. On Sunday, April 6th at 2 p.m., CBT is going to the Magnus Museum in Berkeley for a docent-led tour of In Plain Sight, Jewish Arts and the Lives in the Muslim World. Sign up online or look for it in the Monday email. Our CBT Community Passover Seder is Sunday, April 13th at 5 p.m., and the sign-up is open. Our annual CBT Gala, Tikva Casino Royale, is Saturday, April 26th. We are looking for sponsorships and donations to support our gala fundraising efforts. Tickets are now on sale. Early bird pricing ends March 26th. And as always, see your Monday emails for everything else going on at CBT and more information. And Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. We are going to meet all of you in the social hall for Kiddush and Motzi. We're going to close with another deep wish for peace. Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom Imroma. Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. Ve'imru. Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, Oseh Shalom B'Roma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru.
Shabbat Shalom. y'all.
Shabbat Shalom.
Mishkach to you.